And this is what we're going to be removing. This is the factory mount there. We're going to remove it and replace it with the aftermarket one. First, we're going to jack up the truck. I've got wheel chocks in the front. I've also got it in four-wheel drive with the transmission in park. I'm going to jack it up, lift it by the rear differential, and then I'm going to place jack stands under the frame. Take the tires off so I have more access to the area that I need to work in. So this thing was so rusted out, I basically just pulled and ripped off the rubber. And then with this Chevy, so it's a 2006 half-ton four-wheel drive, it comes with a bracket. So the aftermarket one comes with a bracket. It should reuse this hole as well as the other one here. So they're 15 millimeter nuts. Oddly, they're above, so you kind of have to reach in there and use a long handle ratchet or a breaker bar or whatever to break them free. And then after that, use a 15 millimeter socket, ratcheting, wrench, whatever you want, to remove the nuts, the two nuts up top. Once you do that, this bracket should come off, and then this is where our new aftermarket bracket is going to go. There we go. That's the bracket we got to replace, and the rubber that's there is obviously gone. Old hardware and new hardware. So this is the old one, obviously all rusted out, and this I basically just tore off of it. So if you put that together, that's about the height that you get. So if it bottoms out and it needs to rest on the axle, this is basically the height you get. So this is the new bracket it comes with. There's a left side and a right side. So the other one is labeled left, so you want to make sure you're working on the correct one. So what you do is you basically add that, and then this is going to sit on there. So you can tell that the height overall isn't too much different. And obviously this is higher, but I'm actually going to add this one as well. So that's how it's going to sit inside there when I put it all back together. So the way that this works too is that they give you different hardware. So these two bolts are used to bolt this back to the frame, and you're going to use the washers and those two nuts as well. So that's going to get bolted into the frame, and it's going to sit this way. So then after that, basically, you're putting this upside down. This is going to connect up to here, and the way you put this all together is there's a washer in here, and you've got this extended bolt if you're going to add on that spacer, and you've got the shorter bolt if you choose to leave that out. So you basically just get a deep socket with an extension, and then you're going to feed it up through here. So it's got a washer. You feed through the washer, then you bring it up to the top, and it's going to come through here. So once it does, you put the spacer on top, and then once this is bolted in place, you're basically going to screw that in place, and that's how it's going to stay. To install it, this is smarter because we're going to put the bolts downwards, and then we're going to bolt that bracket here, and the nuts of course then end up on the bottom instead of on the top behind on the inside of the frame. So to me that makes a lot more sense. So the way this bolts on is you're going to notice this disc sticks out further than that side. That means this part faces front, and then this part that sticks out is facing the tire. So you want it towards the tire. So this is how we're going to bolt it in place. And on the left side, it's basically the mirror opposite. So the reason I start that one off is this will just slide onto it, and then while I bolt the other one in place. The reason it's securing on so tightly on its own and I'm not adding a lot of pressure is because it's a lock washer, or a lock nut I should say. So It's automatically tightening on as we get it on there. Now the bracket's securely up here, and it's just they're basically hand tightened. There's no torque specs. They just say to make them snug. So I'm going to start this off by hand. I've got an extension and a 15mm socket that I'm just using to get it started. Okay, started it off by hand, and then now I've got my extended ratchet on there. Just gonna ratchet it the rest of the way. And so that's the finished product. Bolted the bracket in place. This is nice and snug. And that's it. So now I'm gonna put the tire back on, do the other side, and then it's time to hook up the trailer after that and see if it worked out. So there you have it, really easy install, and overall I would say those Timbren aftermarket bump stops are an easy install and definitely a success in terms of helping me to level off the rear end of the truck while it's towing the trailer. If you found this video helpful, let me know by hitting the thumbs up. Feel free to comment if you have a solution that works better or worse, or you recommend or don't recommend this. And feel free to subscribe to my channel to get notified of all the latest DIY and tool review videos. Happy trailering, everyone.